After choosing sobriety, what made you decide to keep a bar on the set? Even though you don't personally drink, what about the bar aesthetic that appeals to you and the viewers of the show? What about the bar aesthetic? So, look, one, I get a ton of shit about this. Why do you have booze on there if you don't drink? What about all the people on your show that are trying to get sober or that are trying to stay sober or whatever? I think it's empowering to have all these bottles around and still not have taken a drink after almost 4 years. And, I do understand, that there are people that come on the show that are sober like me or no booze like me or are trying. I mean, unfortunately in life, you're going to be presented with opportunities that may or may not be good for you. I don't push booze on anybody. I don't encourage anybody to drink, but I think this is empowering. I think it's cool. And if anybody doesn't have the self-discipline, then they better never go to a grocery store. They never better go to a gas station. They better never go to a restaurant. They better never go to a golf course, a movie theater, a sporting event. They should probably just lock themselves in the basement if they can't keep control. And literally just about everywhere you go in the public has a fucking bar. So get used to it. But, and then, what about it? I don't know if it appeals, but, where I came from in the SEAL teams, the agency, just, I don't know. This podcast started off with men that are very masculine. And, one thing about these groups is a lot of times when you have a problem with somebody or it's going to be deep discussion, what does everybody say? Let's have a beer. Let's do this over a drink, right? Well, we're not doing it over a drink, but I think that this environment, kind of makes the people, a lot of the people that I talk to on the show, especially being my former comrades, they feel safe. This feels familiar. All these artifacts in here that I just showed you guys, that's part of it too. This is like walking in to a team room, to a platoon hut. There's going to be booze. There's going to be artifacts of what the unit, what the team, what the platoon, what the troop, what the task unit, what the squadron has done over the years. And it is similar to this. Not as nice as this, but it's very similar. And everything in here, pretty much everything represents something. So that's why it's all here. What was it about David Letterman that inspired you before the Shawn Ryan show began? I wouldn't say that David Letterman inspired me. He didn't inspire me. I like his interviews, but I was thinking about doing this before I saw David Letterman. The thing that I saw that David Letterman was doing right is camera aesthetics. It wasn't the way he interviewed. It wasn't who he interviewed. It wasn't him. It was just the way that the camera aesthetics were kind of set up on his set, and from going through the podcast game, I've seen a lot of people that have tried to replicate almost exactly what I'm doing. And, but that was never my goal when I saw David Letterman's my next guest. All I saw were moving cameras, lots of different angles, and it was just good aesthetics. And so what I did is I built my own sets that mean something to me. And I mean, all the way from the one in my attic, all the way to the one here, everything in here, means something to me. But that's really what I got from Dave Letterman. I'm kind of going off on tangents here, but the only thing it wasn't inspired by David Letterman. I just liked I guess I was inspired by his aesthetics. And so, I took those aesthetics, made them my own, and this is the final product. If you could go back in time and interview anyone, who would it be? I would interview George Washington about founding this country and all of his comrades. I would love to speak with them about what they think about where the country is today, all the division that's going on, and how each side keeps saying that the other side is destroying democracy. I would just want to talk to him about what his intentions were with founding our country and being the first president, and what his thoughts are about how it's being run today, and how so many politicians have ventured from serving their constituents or representing their constituents to basically just doing it for money and insider trading and taking money from different PACs, and it's just it's corrupt now. It really is a swamp. It really is on both sides, and it is fucking sad. And so it'd be great to interview George Washington or some of the greats at the beginning of the country, to see if this is where they ever thought our country would wind up in this status. So I think that would be an interesting interview. When you think back about life before and after your time in the SEAL teams and contracting at the agency, what's the one thing that you miss the most? I'm going to be honest here. I don't really miss anything about it anymore. Maybe I miss some of the adrenaline. I say, I miss some of the guys, but I've got a new team now, and I'm a hell of a lot closer with this team than any of the teams I was ever on before. And, I'm just not really one to live in the past. I used to do that, and that was a fucking miserable life. But, in just, I don't know, everything's just better now. I'm around better people. I think the impact that we have on the country and the world is a lot more, and I think it's more impactful what I'm doing now than what I was doing before. I don't drink, don't have the toxic culture. I mean, there was a lot of good things. There was a lot of good camaraderie. There was a lot of good missions. There was a lot of adrenaline. I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but what I'm doing right now is also a once in a lifetime opportunity. And I created this with my team. And so I guess what I'm saying is I don't really look back to those days anymore. I know a lot of guys do, and it's the pinnacle of a lot of people's lives, but it wasn't. I thought it was the pinnacle of my life for a very long time, but it wasn't. Not even fucking close. And so I don't really take a lot of time to reminisce on the old days at CIA or in the SEAL teams. I'm much more involved in with what I'm doing now. And I think, yeah. So, but I guess if there was one thing I miss, I miss the ops, and I miss the adrenaline. Looking back across all those chapters, pre-SEAL life, the teams, and the agency, when did you feel the most at peace? Well, when did I feel the most at peace? So I guess if this doesn't include now, I would have to say, I'm just being honest, the most at peace I probably ever felt was at home with my parents and my siblings. I mean, you don't really feel a lot of peace in the SEAL teams or contracting for the agency. So, yeah, I guess that'll be it. Building a custom studio in Tennessee. Sounds ambitious. What were the biggest hurdles you faced during construction? Money. The shit's expensive. and being a business owner, it can be extremely hard to get financing, get loans. And we had to, this was tricky. We were overdue to come into a space like this. And, it was all financing. It was the money that was holding us back, and we were long overdue for getting in here. So, but I do want to say, if it wasn't for Patreon, we'd still be in the attic of my house. Actually, we wouldn't be because my wife would have kicked us out. We would have nowhere to fucking go. So thank you, Patreon. Is there an item you wish was displayed in here? Maybe something you came across overseas that carried history or personal meaning for you. This could include teammates that hold on to these artifacts. That's a great question. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of things that I wish I had held on to, but not necessarily just for the studio, but more for my kids. And I got rid of a lot of stuff that I carried with me overseas, both in the SEAL teams and the agency. I mean, when I left there, I was completely fucking broke. So I sold a lot of equipment, gave a lot of stuff away to cousins and people's kids and shit like that people can just play with, my old uniforms and stuff. Now looking back, I wish I would have kept some of that stuff for my own kids. And, but I gave it all to everybody else's kids. But I don't know. I don't really regret it. I mean, a lot of sentimental pieces in here, more than I know what the hell to even do with. And a lot of these pieces are my own. So I'm good, man. I think, it's funny. I think life just plays out the way it's supposed to. And don't have many regrets. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. Cheers. No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.